Hey folks, I'm Dave. Welcome to the basement. So May has been a fantastic month so far for spinning stuff. I've just had a lot of extra time for listening, records, CDs, and been tearing through that to be played pile, shelf, stack, whatever. And I want to share what I've been finding with you guys. So CDs this time around, and I'm going to start off with the 15th album from the Pet Shop Boys, Nonetheless. Came out on April 26th, 2024 on Warner Records. And yeah, Pet Shop Boys, synth pop duo from London. Iconic. You don't need an introduction about them. The thing is, that as you could see, that packaging on their album is very minimalistic, and that's kind of seemed to have been the trend with these guys lately. Well, not even lately. If you go back even to the 80s, they were pretty sparse albums, weren't they? Anyway, again, I guess it's not about the album, it's about the music. So let's talk about that real quick. Nonetheless, I think is a really smooth mix of dance tunes, ballads, but all of them, nearly all of them are exceptional. It's just a really catchy, enjoyable, consistent album, in my opinion. One of the things that I think about or listen for on each new Pet Shop Boys album, because I've been a fan since the 80s. I did lose track of them sort of maybe mid 90s to mid 2010s, maybe a little earlier, maybe the end of the aughts. Anyway, so since I've gotten back into listening to them and hunting back through their the albums that I've missed, I'm always listening for times when they might harken back to the 80s sound, kind of tip a hat or something to their nostalgia of the sound of their 80s, and you get that a little bit on here. There's some moments where they do that, but most of the music, of course, is their contemporary sound. They're growing. Their sound has evolved. It's still great, but it's just nice when they call back to the 80s. And in one track they do that on, most pronounced anyway to my ears, is Dancing Star. This is a dance tune. It's got a really positive, upbeat, or uplifting energy to it. You can hear those 80s roots. That's just a fun song. I think that was a single, and there's a video for it out there on YouTube if you want to check it out. Another one you might want to check out that they do have a video for that was released as a single is Loneliness. Super groovy dance track. It's got some haunting vocals, so it's kind of neat. I like the way they juxtapose the upbeat dance beats with sort of the melancholy of the vocals. That's just to me, just a fun way that they do that. I just enjoy the way that they can. Just check it out. You'll see what I'm talking about. Another fun one is the Schlager Hit Parade. I think this is the best of the ballads on the album. Very catchy and just a fun song. So yeah, I think this is overall, this is an excellent album. If you are a fan of Pet Shop Boys and you don't already have this, I think you're going to dig it. It's enjoyable. I really had a good time with this. If you've lost track of the band like I did for a period of time, this is a good place to get back into it. I think really any place is really good to get back into them, but this one really highlights their contemporary sound. And again, like I said, there's just a few callbacks to the 80s, so there's a little bit of familiarity there too. But if you're just a fan of modern synth pop in general, good album to have in your collection. So yeah, this is Nonetheless by Pet Shop Boys. And next up is an EP. This one came out in 2020 on Foad Records. This is the Vulpines, Us Against Them. And this is their third EP. I don't believe, as of the filming of this video, that they have released a full-length album yet. So I think this is their most recent EP. Could be wrong. But so Vulpines are a Irish post-grunge duo of Kaz Miller and Maeve Molly McKiernan. Kaz is the drummer and Maeve Molly plays guitar and sings. And yeah, like I said, 4-track EP, but this is pretty fun. Their sound reminds me a lot of a mix between, I shouldn't say reminds me of a mix, but it sounds to me like a mix of like L7 and the White Stripes. And by that I mean the beats are pretty basic, fairly basic beats, and the guitar just has this super fuzzy quality to it. nice edge at sometimes, and it kind of almost borders on stoner rock at other times. So it's kind of an aggressive guitar, basic beats. You get where I'm coming from. A track that really highlights that, or highlights the White Stripes sort of vibe, is This Motor Is Me. Is that it? Yeah, This Motor Is Me, second track. Again, it reminds me a lot of the White Stripes. You can hear, at least in my ears, I heard a lot of that there. There's a great guitar groove to this one. And then Maeve Molly has, normally, I mean, she has a good voice normally, but this time she's almost like channeling Courtney Love. So that makes it a pretty interesting track. So yeah, if you're looking for some kind of alternative, heavy alternative, post grunge, check out these ladies from Ireland. This is the Vulpines, Us Against Them. And here's another new release. This came out in February of 2024. This is the debut album from this band. It is called Danger Zone, and the band is Smoking Snakes. Came out on Frontiers Records. And as I said, this is their debut album. So Smoking Snakes is a new Swedish hard rock band. They've got a sounds kind of like a heavier, maybe 90s era Skid Row Warrant, with, you know, melodic riffs, tasty leads, just great energy. The singer does have a bit of a raspy voice, which is cool, but at times it can be a little distracting. But if you want to check out a couple of tracks on here, I liked Soul Survivors. It's just a really nice driving track. Catchy gang chorus, nice melodic guitar. And the last song on the album, Rocking to the Morning Light, it's just got some great chugging riffs, really nice sing-along chorus. I think, you know, fans of 80s inspired hard rock, you're going to like this. And no power ballads. So it's just high octane from start to finish. So yeah, this is Danger Zone by Smoking Snakes. All right, and next we have The Tipping Point from Tears for Fears. Came out in 2022 on Concord Records. And this is the band's, or the duo's, 7th album. And of course, again, just like Pet Shop Boys, everybody knows Tears for Fears, especially fans of 80s music. So yeah, it's been like 18 years in between the previous album and this one, which is really wild. I had no idea it had been that long. But I picked this up as soon as it came out because, again, I was super interested in to hear what they were going to come back with. And it's all right. So this is definitely an introspective album, or has an introspective mood throughout this album. That could have a lot to do with, I think, it was either during the writing or maybe the beginning of the recording process. I don't remember exactly when it happened, but the passing of Roland Orzabal's wife. I can definitely see the impact that would have had on the music here. It's a sad album, okay? To me, it came across as a sad album. It's not like a sad, depressive album, but, you know, kind of what I'm talking about are like the ballads. You know, they're not like stripped down. They're still, you know, synth pop sort of ballads. They have really lush atmospheres on all of them, really. And so what I'm kind of getting at is, you know, I'm kind of rambling here because I'm kind of struggling for the comparison, but if you know The Living Years, the song by Mike and the Mechanics, I get that vibe. I get that feeling when hearing them on their ballads. Now, definitely not the same in terms of sound, or it doesn't sound like The Living Years. You just get that atmosphere, that feeling. You know, it's hard to put into words. How do you you know, it's hard to put some music into words sometimes, but that's kind of what I get when listening to the ballads. Now there are dance tunes on here that have very nice grooves to them, but I still get a sense of sadness when I hear these. So it's really kind of interesting. Like, all right, so a couple of these tracks that you might want to check out if you haven't heard anything from the album yet. It's the title track, Tipping Point. This is excellent modern synth pop. Lush, warm, but still slightly sad. So I don't know, it's still a very good song, very excellent song. Now, My Demons, this is a much more up-tempo dance track. It's got something, I don't know, it's got this sound to it that I can just picture in like a heist film or something, or maybe a Tarantino film. It's just a fun track. I enjoyed that one. Not quite as sad. And then End of Night. This is a track where I really like the synth, really like the vocal style. Definitely got a good beat, and probably the least sad of the songs on the album. So yeah, this is a good album for sure. It is definitely a sad album. And for me, I still prefer their 80s work over this one. It's not a bad album by any means. I just think it was a little bit, I don't know. It just didn't strike me as well as their earlier work. So this is The Tipping Point by Tears for Fears. This next one came out in 2002 on Geffen. This is Weezer's Maladroit, or Maladroit, depends on where you're from and how you pronounce it. This is their fourth album. Like I say, came out on Geffen Records, and it was limited to 600,000 copies, and I don't know if you can see it. I got there, what have I got? I got number 591,944. So, man, just under the wire. But yeah, so yeah, fourth album, if I haven't said that already. This is the first one with bass player Scott Schreiner after Mikey Welsh, God, left the band, I think the year previous to the recording of this. Not exactly sure of the timing, but so yeah, this has a definite heavier sound than their previous albums. But you know, it's just okay for me. Dope Nose, Possibilities kind of stood out from the crowd for me. Fall Together has a really heavy riff for Weezer. So those are interesting tracks. I like those songs. But overall, you know, I just think it's an okay album. It didn't produce any singles, or hit singles, I should say. And it's I mean, this is probably something for Weezer fans, and maybe just a casual listen for everyone else. But yeah, this is Maladroit by Weezer. Last up is another EP. This was a blind buy. Don't know anything about this band when I picked it up, and this came out in 2004. This is Shrubbery by Gut. Came out on Fat Togue Records. There it is right there. However you pronounce that. And this is a CD only release. You're not going to get this on vinyl. And so who these guys were. So Gut was, what I did find out after doing some research, was that Gut was a band out of Boston playing a groove thrash metal sort of sound. The singer, I forget his name. Yeah, forget his name. Anyway, he's got this Phil Anselmo-like barked vocal style, and I don't know if that's entirely coincidental, because on the second track, Some Friend, the band borrows a riff from Walk. So if you happen to find a clip of that, check it out. You'll see what I'm talking about. The most interesting song on this one to me was the lead-off track, Smoking Man. It's got a really good groove to it. You know, otherwise, you know, it's not bad. This isn't a bad EP. Not a bad sound to it, but if you're looking for a second-rate sort of Pantera knockoff, then you might want to try this. Otherwise, probably isn't worth much of a time if you do happen to run across it. So this is Shrubbery by Gut. All right, and so those are the CDs that I've added to the collection in May so far. I think most of you have probably, at the very least, heard of most of that stuff, if not, own it yourself already. And if either of those are the case, let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. So until next time, and as always, thank you for watching. I really appreciate you being here, and stay safe. Talk to you soon.